This is a global university of choice, a university of what ifs and what next, an ambitious university of anything is possible, an outstanding university of teaching excellence and applied research, of aiming high and raising the bar. This is a university of big ideas, an applied university of today and for tomorrow, a university of making a difference and making your mark. This is the University of Derby. What will you make of it?
Hello and welcome to the University of Derby's Open Day live stream. I'm Alice.
And I'm Luke. And along with our colleague Charlotte, who you'll see later on, we'll be hosting today for those of you who can't join the thousands of guests we're expecting at our Derby campus.
Over the next hour or so, we'll be taking you around our sites, as well as introducing you to students and staff from across the university, who will help explain more about our courses, campus facilities, accommodation, and some of the reasons why we believe you'll love Derby.
We'll be exploring what makes Derby such a fantastic place to live and study. We'll focus on several of our subject areas with some of the people that teach and study them, and we'll share some of the fantastic news that Derby has had recently that recognises just how impactful our university is.
Take a look at today's schedule to see what time to expect the talks and tours, and if you're watching live and have got a question for us, send it in using the QR code that will be appearing on the right for our Q&A session at the end.
First though, here's a quick introduction to what you've got to look forward to as a University of Derby student.
Is someone whose role helped shape the student experience here at Derby. Professor Keith Macleay, Provost for Learning and Teaching. Hi Keith.
Hi, good morning.
Good morning. So what are the sorts of things that students should be looking at when they're choosing a university?
Well, it's really important that the students come and visit the university that they're seeking to join, have a look around the facilities, but most importantly, inform themselves about the quality of the learning and teaching and the degree programmes for which they wish to join. So, for example, here at the University of Derby, in the government's recent assessment of learning and teaching across all universities nationwide, the University of Derby was rated gold for its learning and teaching and student experience. And that's the sort of marker that the students should be thinking about. Equally, there are a number of league tables which assess the performance of universities. So, for example, the University of Derby is in the top 20 for student experience and teaching quality in recent league tables published by the Complete University Guide and the Times and Sunday Times. It's these markers, alongside the visit to campus and the discussions with the academics, that students should be using to inform their decision to come to university.
And we talk a lot about the University of Derby being an applied university. What does this mean and how does it benefit our students?
Well, that's right, Alice. I mean, the University of Derby is, as you say, an applied university of today and for tomorrow. And it's a university which prides itself in being engaged with industry. And what that means in reality is that each curricula, as part of the degree programmes, will have opportunities for students to engage with industries, to undertake placements, whether that's a shorter term placement or a longer term whole year placement. It's the opportunity also for the students to be engaged in what we call live briefs. So industries will offer up problems that they require solutions to, and our students will work on that as part of their assessment process. And when we talk about industry, we're not just talking about what might be thought of as the old manufacturing industries. It's a very wide definition. We're talking about the public service industries, we're talking about education, we're talking about businesses, small businesses, medium businesses, but also the global businesses such as Rolls-Royce, for which the University of Derby works at the Nuclear Skills Academy, where we have 200 apprentices places each year working with Rolls-Royce in the nuclear skills industry.
It's fantastic. And what about research? Is Derby a research university, and what opportunities are there for undergrad students to get involved in that?
Absolutely. The University of Derby is heavily engaged in research. It has to be. You can't be a university without having the research side of the coin and the learning and teaching side of the coin, because the research, the cutting edge knowledge, drives the degree programmes. So here at the University of Derby, we have 6 research themes, academic themes, for which we have specialisms in. A good example of that is in our coral reef and eco diversity research, in which you may have seen, or visitors may have seen, our turtle that is quite prominent, a part of our brand, and that's because our scientists are working in regrowing coral reefs across the world, and that's really important because we're only one of a very few number of universities that are engaged in that type of research. In terms of plugging our students into our research, there are a number of different ways. As I've said, the research drives the curricula, so they are accessing it through that. But most importantly, annually we run what's called our Undergraduate Research Scholarship Scheme, in which undergraduate students can apply to become part of a live research project that our academics are running, and they get funded to undertake that research and be part of the project over a period of time, culminating in an output for that research, which they can obviously put on their CV, and they will present at a conference once that research project ends. So there's a number of points of connection, routes of entry for our students into the research process, which all our academics are undertaking.
Oh, fantastic. Now, I've seen around the place we have TEF Gold all over now. What does this mean? Why is it important? And what other recognitions the university had this year?
Well, as I mentioned at the outset, the government ran an assessment exercise of teaching and learning at universities just these past few months. Now, there were 2 categories to that assessment of the learning and teaching at universities. One was the student experience, so that is the experience that the students get while at university, on their degree programmes, and just the general academic experience that they have. The second element is student outcomes, and that is how well the university prepares them to get a graduate job once they leave the university. It's how well that they progress in year, and it's how successful they are in their degree classification. So that assessment exercise ran over the past few months, and I'm delighted that the University of Derby was rated TEF Gold, which is the highest accolade for that assessment of the learning and teaching at university. We're only one of 2 universities in the East Midlands to achieve TEF Gold, and we're within the top 20% in the country. So it's a real marker of the quality of the education here at the University of Derby. Similarly, we've had successes in the league tables. I mentioned before we're top 20% for teaching quality and the student experience in 2 of the league tables, the Complete University Guide and the Times and the Sunday Times. So the University of Derby, on each of these markers of performance, is really well up there and performing very strongly, and in particular the TEF Gold is such an important marker of the quality of the education here at the University of Derby.
That's fantastic, Keith. Thank you very much. Now, I know you're a busy man. You've got some welcome talks to do, so
Yes.
I'll let you go now. But
Thank you very
for
much.
taking
My
the time
pleasure.
to talk
Thank
to me.
you.
Thank you. Thanks. Now, it's not just life on campus you've got to look forward to as a student. There's plenty of things you can get up to in the city, whatever your interests are. Here's a look at student life in Derby and Derbyshire. And afterwards, we'll be joined in the studio by the president of our Union of Students to tell us more. Welcome back to the University of Derby Open Day live stream. We've now relocated to the studio where I'm joined by Dominic White, the President of the Union of Students for this year. Hello, Dom.
Hi, Alice.
So, Dom, can you start by telling us what exactly does the Union of Students do?
Well, the Union of Students does lots of things. First and foremost, we are two items. We are independent, which means we are separate to the university, which allows us to challenge the university on the big issues that are facing students today. Secondly, we're also charitable, which means any money we raise in our charitable endeavours and our outlets is reinvested back into the student experience. That experience covers several areas: the Union Advice Service, sports, also societies.
So, societies, what is a society and what is the benefit to students of joining one?
Well, a student society can form from anywhere. So in particular, if we look at academic societies such as history, societies are an excellent opportunity for students to be involved with like-minded people whilst they're here at the university, but also for students to take up a new hobby, maybe learn a new skill or gain a qualification alongside their studies.
And I know you have a strong sports focus too as well. Is that just for our elite athletes or can anybody have a go? And is there a competitive nature to it?
Absolutely not. So you don't have to be an Olympic athlete to take part in our sports programme. Most of our students have never done the form of sport that they are now quite proficient in. So there is opportunity for anyone to take part in anything. And in relation to competition, we have a wide variety of different levels of competition. So working with the university, we have our hall sport for students who are living within our halls of residence. We also have our Just Play campus leagues, which offer a more recreational but still competitive nature of sports. And then we have Union Sport with Team Derby, where we go every Wednesday we take part in Bucks, where our students travel across the country representing the Union and the university against our biggest competitors.
Fantastic. And Derby as a city as a whole, would you describe it as a university city?
Absolutely. Derby is very much so on the up when it comes to getting in and involved with the city and getting the students at the very heart of what it is to be part of the city of Derby. Our campuses, as well as some of our halls, are ever more in the centre of the city and growing so. As you may have seen, our new business school is being built in the heart of the city as well, which is a part of our sign that we are moving into the city as our commitment to be a university city continues to grow.
So many ways there for students to get involved. But how do they go about doing that? How do they make a start?
Well, students, what they don't realise is when they enrol at the university, they're automatically part of the Union of Students. And the best way that they can get involved with us, for example, in societies and sports, is through adventures such as on Freshers' Fair and activities fairs. They can meet our committees, attend Give It a Go sessions, and get really in with what it means to be part of that sports club or that society. But also with our student voice and student reps. As a union, we offer inductions during their first weeks at the university, where we explore with them what it is to be part of the union and what they can be involved with. And we also give them the opportunity to run in elections and stand as a student rep and offer them lots of courses and training alongside their degree of what it is to be a student rep and how they can better use their voice to represent the voice of others.
So much to get involved in. I don't
There
know how
is.
they have time to go to lectures. Thank you very much, Dom. That's been brilliant. Thanks for being here with me today. So we're moving now from what you're going to do to where you're going to sleep. We'll focus now on one of the most important parts of going to university, where you'll live. Here's what I found out when I visited staff and students at one of our halls of residence. Hi, I'm Alice and I'm here at a University of Derby Hall of Residence. I'm visiting today to find out what life is like in halls for our students. Let's head inside now. We're going to meet Kirk, who's the manager of these halls, and he's going to show me around. Hi, Kirk.
Hi, Alice. How you doing? You okay?
Nice to meet you.
Nice
yes,
to meet you
really
too.
good to see you. So, Kirk, we're here. We're outside a beautiful courtyard. We're surrounded by trees. How many rooms have you got in this hall of residence?
So in this halls of residence, we've got 245 rooms. It's completely en suite on these halls, but across the portfolio we have halls that are standard, where they have a shared bathroom, and you have other halls which have an ensuite like this one here.
So we're in a lovely outdoor space here. There's plenty of car parking here, Kirk. Can students bring their own car to university?
They can if they apply for a car parking permit, but we sort of encourage students not to bring a car unless they absolutely have to, because the university itself has got a free bus service, so you just flash your student card and then you'll be able to get all the way to the university campus at Kedleston Road. You'll also be able to get to the other campuses as well, and the bus stop will either be right outside your halls or a very, very short walk just down the road. We also have bike sheds as well, which are free.
And all the campuses and halls of residence, they're all quite close together, aren't they?
Absolutely close. You can walk between each halls of residence. You walk to all the campuses. I mean, if it's a nice sunny day, then I always encourage students to walk up to the Kedleston Road. I would do myself. So.
Yeah, brilliant. Shall we go inside and have a look around?
Yeah, absolutely.
Great, thanks.
So this is the site office. Each halls of residence has a site office. And there'll be a hall manager in there, or as we got right now, Izzy, one of our residential assistants. Students can come here and raise any concerns they might have, ask any questions.
I noticed on the way in it's very secure. I couldn't get in without you coming to let me in. How do you keep students safe within the building?
You can't get into the building without a fob to get into the main block. You've then got a key which will get you into your flat door, and then another key which will get you into your room. So it's very secure. We've also got 24-hour staffing here on site.
So, Kirk, what happens in here?
Right, well, this is one of our common rooms. All of the halls of residence have a common room. Most of them will have a pool table. Some of the slightly larger ones will have a table tennis table. But it's just a place for students to come and relax, maybe have a few friends round. They might come in here, and if they want to make slightly more noise than they do in their actual flats, then they can do that in the common room. We also have halls events here. We have music nights, all sorts going on, and it's all provided for the students for free.
So tell me, what sort of facilities do we have in the flats?
You've got in the kitchen, you have a microwave, we provide a toaster, we provide a kettle.
And with 5 or 6 people living in a flat together, you know, I've done it myself. It's, you know, who made that mess? Who's responsible for this? How do things stay clean and tidy and organised in flats?
So there's a couple of ways. Well, the first is that we provide cleaning for the kitchen in all of our halls of residence. Once a week a cleaner will come and clean the kitchen for them. The other side of it is more sort of communal living. So students will learn to live with each other, learn to clean up after themselves.
All important life skills that they need to learn, and this seems like a nice, safe and supportive place to do that.
Yeah, completely is. And like I say, we treat the students like they are. They're adults, and we like to encourage them to resolve any problems they have amongst themselves, but also we understand that living with 4 or 5 new people can be challenging sometimes, and that's why we're there to support the students through that experience. Hi guys, how you going? Yeah, I've just got Alice here. She just wants to ask you a few questions about what it's like living in halls. Are you right to give her a bit of your time? Yeah, sure. Amazing. Cheers, guys.
Thank you ever so much for letting me into your flat like this.
Welcome.
What's it like living in halls?
Honestly, really good. Can't lie. Mates for life, close to campus, close to city centre.
So for any students who might be living potentially close enough just to commute in and not try and live in Derby, what would you say to them?
Yeah, I had that option, and I'm really glad I went with halls because you just get put with people straight away and you get to meet friends straight away and you're really part of the action.
And what would you say is the best thing about living in halls, all of you?
Friendly staff. Kirk's always smiley, always happy.
He's always that like person that you can go to if like anything's wrong.
Now, you know, I've seen your kitchen, I've seen your communal spaces. Would any of you mind giving me a little look around your bedroom so we can see what the bedroom spaces look like?
Yeah, sure. Do you want to follow me? So this is a standard ensuite room at Peak. You got a small double bed, more than enough for your student. A desk big enough for your work, games, books, anything you need. Got a more than big enough wardrobe behind you, and a ensuite with a shower and toilet.
Brilliant, it's really lovely. So that's our halls of residence, a safe, supportive and well located place to live for students. Visit our website to find out more about all our different halls. Welcome back. That was a look inside one of our halls of residence, and now I'm joined by Steve Ward, who is our Head of Accommodation Services. Welcome, Steve.
Hello.
So we've just seen Kirk and the students show us around and explain what life is really like in halls. But going back a few steps, when students are first starting to think about looking at accommodation, how do you go about choosing to find a place to live, and what if you're on a tight budget?
So we advise all students to come to one of the university open days. So at an open day, you get the opportunity to come visit a range of our halls. We do have a range of rooms across a range of budgets. They start from £115 a week and they range right up to our premium en-suites. So we do advise people that the best thing to do is come, have a look around, see which ones best suit the budgets. In addition to that, you can go onto the website. We've got 360-degree tours, so you're able to go into each of the halls, individual pages, go and have a look at each of the rooms. So we always think it's best that people make an informed choice by doing those things.
And is there any benefit to living in certain halls in terms of proximity to campus?
Not particularly. So all of the halls are in a close location, so they're in a small geographical area. We don't place people together by course. We ask people to sort of choose the accommodation that best suits their needs and their budget. There's a unibus service that runs students around all of the campuses. So no, the best thing to do is sort of go and choose the right room and hall for yourself.
And in terms of how you make up the composition of the people in those flats, do you get a lot of senior flatmates or who you choose to live with?
So we don't place people, as I say, through by courses. What we look at is people's age, and we always place people together in relation to their age. The thing that you choose when you are making an application is gender preference, so whether you want single gender or mixed gender, and we will always honour that. For those people who are arriving and they've got friends that are coming with them from wherever they're moving from, they can apply to live with friends. So what we advise people to do there is just in the notes section of the application, put your friend's name and their student number, and we will place them together.
And what happens over Christmas and Easter? Do students need to move out of halls at that time?
No, so we offer 2 contracts. We offer a 42-week and a 51-week contract. Those contracts start in September and they run through to the end of the academic year in July. And that is your room for that period, and you're able to stay in that for the entirety of your contract.
And when I visited the halls and I spoke to the students, they told me about all the free activities that happen on a weekly basis. But there's other things that they can get involved in through our Residence Life programme. So what's that all about?
So yeah, our Residence Life programme is something that we started about 7 years ago. And the idea is that is for students to who are sort of coming to university for the first time and going through the same experience, that they're able to sort of get involved, meet people that are going through the same things that they're going through. So we run a range of events there. We run lifestyle events, so we run cookery courses, helping with exam stress. We run local events in each of our halls, so we have quizzes, competitions, and that runs up to local and national events. So we'll take students to Laser Quest, we do ghost walks, we take them to Scarefest. Most of those events are free to students who live in halls. Some of the national events have a small contribution, but the majority of those events are free, and yeah, for all students.
That's fantastic. I mean, that is a great benefit of living in a hall of residence as opposed to being in private accommodation. Are there any other benefits or differences between the two?
Yeah, I mean, we would always advise that students come into university-owned halls in the first year particularly, but we do take second and third year students. It is the best place to go and meet people going through that same experience as you. We are a university department, so we have strong links with all areas of the university, from the student wellbeing team right across to the academic teams. The pastoral care that we're able to offer in halls is stronger, I think, than most of the private sector, because we have all of the university to sort of help us support in that area.
So very safe and supportive, and I suppose a nice soft landing for students who may be moving out of their family home for the very first time.
Yeah, so all of our halls have got 24-hour staffing. All of our halls have got a hall manager that works in the daytime. We've got a caretaking team, residential assistants, and at night time we have our community supervisor teams. So we do pride ourselves on the pastoral support that we offer. We are currently, for the last 2 years, the best university housing in the UK, voted for by the students. And I think a big part of that is the pastoral support that we offer, and the fact that we've always got members of staff there that will help students with any sort of, concern or sort of challenge that they may have whilst they're in halls.
That's great. Thank you very much, Steve, for joining me today. Thank you. Next up, I'm delighted to be joined by some of our students to find out what they think you should know about Derby. But firstly, here's how studying at the University of Derby makes them feel.
The University of Derby makes me feel empowered. They empowered me to break barriers and smash stereotypes.
Diverse. I feel like I'm part of a bigger community. And what I've learnt about my abilities and potential goes well beyond my degree.
Examine. A transition that felt challenging to start, but led to excitement. built on my character and independence.
Passionate. A process of growth filled with fun, career opportunities, and beautiful people. A mixture of everything.
Independence. Derby has given me confidence and self-direction, allowing me to experience independence for the very first time.
Awakened to a world full of possibilities. Nothing is stopping us now.
Coming to university can be quite a big step, so we're now joined by two students who have both been through it in order to help you understand what to expect. Welcome, Sam and Camille.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So when you arrived at university and you started your course, what was that like? Did you meet people straight away? Were the other people friendly? How did it go for both of you?
Well, even before I came to Derby, actually, there was an online chat in the university website where I could talk to students that was currently studying at the university, and I could even choose where the student was from, which country, the language and everything, and ask questions how Derby is, where to live, how the university is, the inclusivity and everything. So yeah, that was great actually. I made some friends even before moving to Derby. But even during my course and everything, I met like really nice people with similar way of thinking and similar hobbies. And that was great actually, because I didn't know anyone in Derby before. So most of my friends actually are from the university. Yeah.
And how was it for you, Camille?
Yeah, that's true. Based on these groups that were formed on the social medias, we got to know each other a little bit better than before we started the course. And then when we finally arrived to the one big classroom, we got to allocate faces to the people that you could see only on the chats, which was quite interesting experience as well. What was very useful for me was group works that we were allocated to as part of our assignments. So this is where a lot of interaction happened in between people on my course, and that led to something more like a bigger interaction, which meant that I could actually make friends from people that I've not seen before, and people from different countries, people from different backgrounds, and that was a very exciting experience for me, I think.
And do you think that it's been different being an international student as opposed to somebody who's just moved from elsewhere in England?
Absolutely. There is a big cultural difference in between us, I would say. However, I got quite used to it now, and I do enjoy being among British people as well as the international people, because I like to perceive all the perspectives. Everyone has something to contribute, and that keeps me more open-minded. And then that is the main point why I also wanted to do my degree and basically the whole university experience, because I wanted to broaden my perspectives on, to see what's everyone like and what they're thinking about, their opinions, and then kind of work towards my personal development as well. So I would say that it is different, but in a good way. The whole experience gives you more of the opportunity to grow yourself, personally and professionally at the same time. So definitely recommend it.
Great. And Sam, you've lived in a lot of different places around the world. How have you found Derby compared to
Well, I think the biggest difference was actually moving from Italy to the UK. Probably the weather was something that at the time I was missing the most, the sun and everything. But I kind of got used to it, and today I actually love the rainy days. So I just like to stay home and just play games or watch films. So yeah, I actually enjoy it. So I think after a few time you just get used to it. You get used to the culture. You met new people, and those people become part of your family. So yeah, you grow. The time goes and you grow.
And you both talked about growth and development there. The university does put a lot of support services in place for students who need it, whether that's careers or wellbeing. Have either of you accessed any of these areas of support, and how did you find it?
During my placement year, before I applied for the placement year, I was a bit confused how my CV should look like, for the Met Office. I was intentionally applying for the Met Office. But there was a team on campus, I think it was called the placement team, basically. It was a group of people just helping students to get a placement here. So they looked throughout my CV, my cover letter and everything. They told me what I should do different, how I should be on an interview, how should I answer the questions and everything. And basically, I've got support from my application, from the start of my application, throughout all the application, basically, all the interviewing process. So yeah, that was amazing.
And how about you, Camille?
I've had pretty much similar experience. However, I was at the time abroad because as a practice student, I did the Erasmus, the exchange program. And so during my second term in my second year, I lived in Madrid. And I must say that the whole careers team was very supportive, even working with me remotely. So anytime I had a free time, they were able to check my CV and help me with the whole application for the placement. However, I would say that a lot of academic tutors are also a very supportive element during your placement. So like the whole support did not stop once I got my placement. I got there, I was trying to settle down and they were still there for me. So they were there for me to complain, to brag about, to talk about my experiences, about the good days and the bad days, and sort of working on my, once again, personal development, coming back to me with the feedbacks on how I could improve things if something went wrong, or how could I do this differently. And that is something that motivated me from one day to another to keep working and then getting that goal achieved, I guess.
What would you say has been the highlight of your time at Derby?
Probably the opportunities I had for my placements here at the Met Office. And also, I love being close to nature. And, having friends from uni that I made in uni with similar hobbies, they also love being around nature. So it's great because sometimes on weekends we just drive away to the Peak District and we spend the weekend away, or we go to even Scotland sometimes. But it's really nice that you find people from really different backgrounds, and you can find a friend that honestly has the same hobbies as you have, so you can find anyone in Derby that you can be very close friends with and do similar things that you love. So yeah, that's great.
And you?
Yeah, I think it's the amount of opportunities that the university has to offer. So whether it comes to interaction is essential to me, I think. And so all the societies and clubs that university has to offer that are formed by the students is an element which made me be more interactive with everyone, to get to know more people and then get in the whole environment of exploring the culture once again, and then getting to know people from different backgrounds once again. And then when I was talking about the opportunities, it is the work opportunities as well. So like the placement or like the internship that the university is helping you to apply for, and backing you up with not only like the application process, but also to set your mind to be more professional with your approach. And that's, I think, the best highlight of my experience.
And finally then, from both of you, what advice would you give to a student who's coming to Derby to help them settle in really quickly? Go on.
So I think to make the friends as soon as possible is the first thing you want to do, because based on that, you will form more and more friends, I guess. You'll get to know more people through other people. It's not just on the course. That's like the best thing about it, that there's the whole... There's the whole spectrum of things you can do at the university. And then obviously you could either join the society, get to know people, you could talk to your academic tutors and then improve your professional skills. You could just spend some time on campus and get the university life.
Top tips from you, Sam?
I think I would say that people shouldn't really worry about coming to Derby or moving to Derby without knowing anyone, or, stress about it, because it's really, really easy to make friends, especially go on your first day in uni is most of people that come to Derby, they also don't have any friends. So it's really easy, to get into a conversation and then make friends with people from anywhere, actually. And also try to enjoy the city. I'm on my final year now. I know things can be very stressful sometimes, and it's really nice to have friends who you can go out with, you can have some fun as well, because sometimes you're going to need to go out and just refresh your mind from the studies. It needs, so it's really important that you enjoy the city as well. The countryside is just amazing. It's probably one of the biggest, most beautiful places you can be. So yeah, study and have some fun as well and meet new people. But don't worry about that before moving to Derby. I think everything goes to place after you move in.
And we've even instilled a love of a rainy day in you, so I think we must be doing something right there. Thank you very much to both of you. That's been really interesting, both from a sort of new student perspective and for an international student as well. Let's head to a video now, and we'll be back with you shortly.
We are now joined by Dr. Denise Baker, who heads up the College of Health Psychology and Social Care here at the University of Derby. As you look around the room, you can mistake this location for a real hospital, but we're actually at the University of Derby's Mock Hospital Ward, which is our specialist training facility here at our Kedleston Road site, which we use to educate and prepare the future generation of our nurses. This setting looks extremely realistic, as though we're in a real hospital. Please could you tell us about the location that we're in today and how it's used by our students at the university?
Well, it looks realistic because it is realistic, and we thought it was really important for our students to get that hands-on, real-life experience, and this is just one of the wards or facilities that we've got for our health psychology and social care students. So we have wards, we have an X-ray room, we have some counselling rooms and specific psychology rooms, and we also have facilities up at Chesterfield campus as well. And the reason why it's important, Charlotte, is because we want people to have the opportunity to engage in simulation, that they can put that theory into practice and get real world experience before they go out onto placement.
Perfect, thank you. And what are some of the reasons that students would choose to study here at Derby?
Well, you've already seen the facilities, so of course that's a big part of it. But we're actually getting such fantastic results from our students in terms of their outcomes, but also with how satisfied they are with us in their experience. And we're in the top 20 of a number of league tables for student satisfaction. And we know from feedback that we have from students that it's not only facilities like this, but it's the quality of the teaching that they get, because we're a TEF Gold university, the experience that they have with the lecturers and the way that they're made to feel when they come to the University of Derby.
And can you tell us about the research that's being conducted in your college and how it's making a real-world impact?
Of course. Well, we have quite a lot of research going on in the college, but two that I'd really like to mention are Professor James Elander's work into chronic pain. And we know that pain is such a problem for so many people. And if we can do something that helps to alleviate the pain, not only does that give them a better life outcome, but it also enables them to get back into society and makes them feel that they're making a significant contribution and that their mental health and well-being will be supported as well. The other work that I would mention is Professor Miles Richardson, whose work on nature connectedness is having a global impact, not just here in Derby, but across the whole world. You might have seen his biodiversity stripes. That's really starting to resonate with people as we look at the impact of climate change. And of course, we want our students to be engaged in research as well. So we have some fantastic schemes where students can get involved in local research, but even something as big as that global aspect.
And what sort of careers do our students go on to achieve?
Well, as you'd imagine, in health psychology and social care, a lot of them are going to go on into health and social care careers. And we've got 99% of our students going into graduate level employment when they come out of programmes like nursing and allied health professions. But we know that the world is made up of people with lots of different skill sets. But being a people person, which is what you are in health psychology and social care, we know that the world needs more people, and certainly in this country we're getting a lot of demand now for people to go and work into the NHS. The long-term workforce plan means that we're going to be here for some time to come.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Denise. It's been great to talk to you.
It's my pleasure.
Back to you, Alice, in the studio.
One area of the college Denise has just talked about is psychology. and I have the programme lead for this subject, Dr. Gulchan Garip, here with me. Thank you very much for joining us. So Gulchan, psychology is often a popular subject at A-level. How is it different studying the subject at a degree level?
Yes, psychology is a very versatile subject. You can go into various areas of psychology upon completing your undergrad training and then doing the relevant stage 1 and stage 2 training pathways. At the University of Derby, we've got undergrad, both online and on campus, and we've also got an online conversion psychology program as well for those who may have studied something completely different at university and want to kind of move into a more psychologically based area. You don't need to be limited to just psychology professions either. You can go into marketing, human resources, and really, I think any area where you're working with people, psychology does contribute something to that. So I think it's a very good option to study.
And what are the benefits of studying psychology at Derby in particular?
So Derby's got a really large psychology team for the size of the university. We've got a lot of diverse academics from different areas of psychology as well. I'm personally, I've got my expertise in health psychology. We've got a lot of research interests in nature connectedness, contemplative psychology, as well as biological and cognitive psychology areas as well. And I think all that variety and diversity gives students a really good exposure to those different areas as well.
And how do you keep the course up to date with what's happening outside of the university in terms of the industry and the research that's happening?
Well, apart from the general kind of quality assurance and psychological society standards, we've also got people interested in their own areas of research. We regularly attend conferences and we're also engaging with colleagues from other institutions as well to make sure that we're staying on top of the latest developments and also collaborating with them for various research projects.
And what sort of practical experiences can students expect to have on this course?
We do pride ourselves in trying to make sure that whether you're studying on campus or online, you've got parity of experience. Obviously, there are some limitations when you're perhaps studying online. You might not be able to do what an on-campus student does in terms of coming into a lab and using one of our cold pressors or using one of our other kind of EEG equipment to look at brain waves and those sorts of things. But you are able to kind of book equipment through the online systems, and if you are able to come onto campus, you'd still be able to use those facilities. And we've got a whole host of online software as well that both online and on-campus students can use.
That's fantastic. Now, we've recently expanded the different versions that can be offered for this subject to include different subject combinations. What would a student get from having a sort of combination course rather than just straight or pure psychology?
So this is actually a really great opportunity because as a student, when I was studying psychology, I was really torn between what areas I wanted to study. And at the time, I wasn't able to find a course that met my needs in the UK and I had to look elsewhere. But with these joint honours courses, if you've got two areas of interest, for instance, you'd be able to look at combining them during your undergrad studies.
And whatever combination somebody does choose, why is Derby the place they should be studying it?
I think our team is a really great team. I've been part of it for 8 years and I've really seen the team grow both individually and as a group. And I think the attention to detail and the care we give to students is one of those unmatched with other places. I might be biased.
Just a little bit, just a little bit. Now, how does studying psychology at Derby expand a student's mindset?
So we see people from all walks of life, but what we want to ensure is that at the end of completing one of our programs, that students will develop the skills to think critically. They'll be able to have a basic understanding of how to conduct research in a way that is going to meet those steps that the scientific method outlines. And we don't just focus on quantitative, but we also introduce qualitative research methods as well as the core areas of psychology as well. And after finishing off from that, students have a choice of going into health, ergonomics, forensic psychology, which are programs that we also offer.
That's fantastic. And in terms of careers, you've touched a little bit there about the sorts of subjects that students might go into, but what sorts of careers can they expect with a degree in psychology?
So studying an undergraduate degree in psychology is the first step you would do before you can specialise into some of those more core professions in psychology. So if you did want to, say, become a health psychologist or a clinical psychologist, you do need to go on to further study, and a lot of our students do. But if you are kind of looking to gain work experience and employability, there are lots of opportunities either within the NHS, within educational psychology, trainee opportunities, where you can study alongside working as well. So I think those are some of the options that I would mention.
Sounds great. Where do I sign up? Thank you very much for joining me here today, Gulchen. It's been really good to hear from you. Thank you. Speaking of research, let's take a look now at how we approach it at Derby.
Research is changing the way we see and understand things. At Derby, you will be taught by leading researchers. Their groundbreaking findings not only have real-world impact, but inform your curriculum, giving you the most up-to-date teaching in your subject area. There are so many opportunities to get involved in research, such as attending conferences, being part of a research experiment, or conducting your own research project. The skills and knowledge you gain through experience in research will allow you to shine and stand out in job interviews. We are at the forefront of discoveries. Quite simply, research never stands still, and neither does the University of Derby.
Welcome back to our Open Day livestream. You may have already started looking at what you need to do to actually apply to the uni. To help demystify that process, we're joined by our Head of Admissions, Helen Mercado. Helen, hello.
Hi.
How are you doing?
I'm good, thank you.
You're good, thank you for being here. So just to start off with, how would you say the admissions team, how do they support the students' applications?
So we receive all of the student applications across the university, so for undergraduate and postgraduate applications, and also home and international students.
Yep.
So we get all of those come into our office, and then on behalf of the university, we process those, obviously against the entry criteria, and we support the applicants through that journey. So, so every part of the process, so helping them to submit their application if they need the help, but also then once they've submitted them, if they have any questions and that kind of thing through the process, we would support them through that. We invite everyone to interviews, we help them with portfolio submissions, and then we also process their results when they come through, and collect supporting documents and things like that. So really all the way through the applicant journey, we're there for the applicants to help them and try and get them hopefully to an offer as quickly as we can.
Nice. So there's quite a bit to
absolutely.
think about. Yeah,
that's it. Like thousands and thousands of applications.
Yes.
And we have obviously several intakes as well. And we also have the online provision as well. So we support all of those applicants as well.
Nice. Goodness. So yeah, kind of like you mentioned, so there are obviously going to be quite a few students that are doing this for the first time.
Yeah.
So what kind of advice could you give to those people that are going through the process currently?
So I think, I guess just sort of taking the time to do things properly. So in terms of when people are deciding where to apply, just thinking, doing their research, looking at the courses, the course content, the location. So obviously Derby is a great city to come to, but really sort of looking into that and trying to spend some time talking to some of the students as well. So we we have a provision here at Derby that people can reach out to students that are currently on the courses. So I would definitely recommend that we're doing that as part of that journey. But I would also say that when they are then making that application, to provide us as much information as possible, so that we can process it as effectively as possible and as quickly as possible. I would also say, particularly those coming through the Central Admissions Service, UCAS, obviously there is the January equal consideration deadline that is the 31st of January.
Okay.
So I would say, we receive a huge number of applications running up to that deadline. So really, if they can put their applications in before that obviously helps speed up the process for them. And we're able to sort of get to them a little bit more quickly than we might if they apply right around the deadline.
Yes.
So I would definitely say to sort of, to spend the time doing that research, make sure they present that full application, spend time doing their personal statement as well. That's really important. I think I look at it as a little bit like their first job application kind of thing. It's a really good opportunity for them to, to think about, impressing the university, if you like.
Yep.
Just sort of telling us, why the course that they've chosen, what it is about that, what their career aspirations are,
Yes.
and why they think they're a good fit for that programme as well. So, thinking about all the things they might have done, volunteering, all of those different things, to include that in their personal statement, so we can actually use that when we're assessing their application.
Goodness, absolutely. I do agree. It's like in terms of the way you've got to sell yourself, it's very similar. A lot of similarities there.
Yeah.
And in terms of the admissions process, does it kind of differ between UK students and international?
So it can do. So international students, undergraduate students can apply through UCAS as well as home students. So that functionality is there for them. They can use that. A lot of our international students don't. They come through our agent network, so they can apply directly to the university. So there are slightly different things, obviously, that an international student might have to do, because they will have to get a visa later down the line, and things like that. So, but generally say that UCAS option is available for undergraduate students, or they say they can apply directly on our website. So if they go on, and they can apply on our portal.
Nice. For the most part, it's very similar, just with...
Yeah, it can be.
Yeah.
So I think if they don't apply directly, there's sort of less deadlines that are imposed upon them. So the UCAS process is very deadline driven, and whereas obviously the direct route has less imposed deadlines on them, really. But I would say that for some of some of our courses are quite selective. So I would definitely, for international students that are looking to apply for some of those courses like nursing and others like that are quite selecting, that actually getting their application in there is really important, because we might very well close after the equal consideration deadline, things like that. So it's just being mindful of that, and trying to get their application in as soon as possible, to make sure they've got the best chance of getting on the course that they want to go on to.
Goodness. Thank you. Makes sense. And the personal statement, the aspect of it, that's something that I imagine many students have heard about by now. So how much attention would you say is put into that by our admission team and academics?
So we definitely look at it as part of the application process. So it varies by course how much the academics will, because for the most part, the admissions team have delegated authority to process applications. Yep. So for some of the more selecting courses, say like nursing and things, there's definitely things that they specifically look for, as we're shortlisting for interview and things like that. So definitely thinking about, mentioning, the course that you want to do, why you want to do it, why there's that drive, why that particular, if it's nursing pathway, that kind of thing, and just making sure that it's really clear what your aspirations are, and that actually that is the course that you really, really want to do.
Yes.
So that we can obviously take that into consideration when we're processing it.
Nice, thank you. And in terms of the students that have already submitted their applications, when should they typically expect to hear back from the university?
We try and turn things around as quickly as we can. There are different points of the year that get busier. Like I say, the equal consideration deadline for the UCAS applications tends to be a lot busier, and we would take a bit longer. But I would say normally within sort of 3 to 5 working days, I would hope for most of the undergraduate applications that come through, perhaps a little bit longer for those that arrive during late January.
Okay. Goodness. And what happens when the course has an extra step to complete? For for example, like a portfolio or like an interview?
Yeah. So the interview courses, we will shortlist to interview. So we will receive the application, we will shortlist against the shortlisting criteria, And then my team will reach out and invite applicants to attend that interview. So this year we are running both on-campus events and also remote events. So people will have the opportunity to choose which option they prefer.
Okay.
So they will get invited. They will get links to the web pages where all of the information that they need to know about what they need to do to prepare and where they need to come if they're coming to one of the on-site events.
Yes.
All of that information is then sent to them so they can prepare in advance of the interview. And then for the portfolio courses, typically we would reach out to applicants if a portfolio is part of the selection criteria and request that as part of the process. So they could expect to hear from us if they hadn't submitted that at the point of application.
Okay, goodness. And in regards to students that have any kind of specific support or well-being kind of needs, when should they be making that known?
So what I would say to that is in admissions, we don't tend to take that kind of thing into consideration. So it's not part of the application process. We sort of treat everybody equally, if you like. But I would still say it's really important to flag anything like that as early as possible in the process, so it can be picked up by the appropriate team, the wellbeing team, and they can sort of be in touch with applicants and make sure that any reasonable adjustments, that kind of thing, that we can make in advance of the term starting. So I'd say sometimes we struggle if there are late applicants to meet sort of needs of everybody. So I would say as early in the process as possible, absolutely flag it to the university, and then we can make sure that we can help to support you into the university.
Fantastic. Okay, and just finally, if a student gets stuck anywhere in the application process, what would you kind of suggest that they need to do in that case?
Reach out. Yeah, absolutely. So get in touch with my team. I have an admissions inquiries team, and they are ready and willing and happy to help.
Fantastic. Well, Helen, thank you so much. I think those are all the questions I have. Thank you for being here.
Thank you.
Hopefully that helps you move forward with your application. Here's a bit more about what to expect at the University of Derby.
We're now in the Performance Suite, where I'm joined by Dr. Andy Hooton, Head of Sports and Exercise Science. Hi Andy, thank you very much for joining me today.
Hi.
So tell us about our sports courses.
We've got a wide range of undergraduate courses, from BAs through to BScs, sport management, sport and exercise science, performance analysis and coaching science, and really a wide array of courses that are related to opportunities to progress on into industry.
And this is the Performance Suite that we're in right now. What happens in here, and what other facilities do our students have access to?
So we do a lot of our teaching in the Performance Suite, and rather than just necessarily having traditional lectures, we like to kind of ensure that you're learning as you will need to be performing within industry and within your career after leaving university. So as well as kind of traditional lectures, we have practicals that happen in here, and we also run workshops in here. So it might be that you'll learn 10 to 15 minutes worth of content, and then you'll go and put that into practice, and then you'll come back and learn a bit more. And it really helps students understand what they're trying to achieve with the theory that they're learning, and then how they might implement it in applied practice.
And what about other facilities? Is there more in this building or elsewhere across the university?
Yeah, so we've got some fantastic facilities. So we're in our sports centre at the moment. We've got a double-sized sports hall, and outside we've got two different pitches, so a 4G pitch and a 3G pitch, and it really facilitates kind of our practical provision across all of our programmes.
And that's all supported by a brilliant teaching team. Can you tell me about them?
Yeah, we've got a fantastic teaching team. They're really dedicated to their students. We've got nationally and internationally renowned researchers across health and sports science, and we've had some fantastic results within the most recent NSS, whereby we've achieved average over 90% across our programmes for Teaching on My Course and also for academic support. So they're really dedicated to be able to get to know the students, find out where they need to support them and how they can develop them as individuals.
And are there any extracurricular activities that students can get involved in?
Yeah, so we really encourage the extracurricular activities as well. It's very important that you're not just coming here for a degree. You really need to be engaged in additional qualifications, work placement and internship opportunities. We've got a wide range of organisations that we work with, both nationally and regionally, and students will go out on various different placement activities so that they can kind of gain the skills that they need to in order to be able to gain experience, to be able to secure roles after they've left university.
And you mentioned work placements there. What opportunities are there for students?
So there's a variety of different opportunities. These might be health-based opportunities. There's a real growth of kind of how sports science can inform health at the moment. So it could be working in the NHS or working in the local community to be able to enhance physical activity, right the way through to kind of high-end and elite kind of organisations where we might be working with football clubs, cricket clubs, in order to be able to kind of support their multidisciplinary teams and their sports science provision and how that's kind of informing their athletes.
A lot of things there that really set our students up for their future success. So what sort of careers do they go on to?
They go on to a variety of different careers. You can go on to kind of working within high-end sport. So I mentioned sports scientists recently across a range of different disciplines. A number of our students engage with our human performance unit here, so they get exposed to working with high-end athletes as they're going through their degrees, and that can lead to kind of some really positive opportunities to be able to move on into working with organisations such as Derby County Football Club, Leicester City Football Club. We've had people go on and work with FIFA as well, and then other opportunities maybe across to the health sector, working in the NHS and working with kind of local and city councils as well.
Fantastic. And to support our students while they're studying, do we have any scholarships available?
Yeah, so if you're a high-end athlete, there is an opportunity to apply for a sports scholarship. They essentially have to be kind of national or international level, and then your sports scholarship has the potential to support you with sports science support as you're going through your degree to be able to enable your performance, and also there is the potential to get kind of contribution towards fees as well.
Fantastic. That's great, Andy. Thank you very much for joining me here today. Thanks. That's all from here. Back to the studio.
If you've got your eye on creative writing and publishing at Derby, we've got the guest for you. It's hello to Jocelyn Hargrave, lecturer in publishing. Welcome, Jocelyn.
Welcome.
How are you doing today?
I'm very well, thank you so much.
Good. No, thank you for being here. So, Jocelyn, it's a fantastic result for us in the Complete University Guide for Creative Writing subject area at Derby. We ranked 4th in the UK for student satisfaction, which is just amazing. So what do you think it is about our course that really appeals to students?
I would have to say so many things. It's so diverse, so creative, but still so embedded in industry and the types of skills that students need to be able to be confident knowledge workers. That is key to the success of University of Derby's Creative Writing and Publishing course. Myself included, and as well as the other creative writing and publishing colleagues, we're just feel so privileged to be part of the university. We're passionate. We have loads of industry experience. We're published authors. So there's the theoretical, but also the practical underpinning that really makes this course stand out. Yep.
Nice, lovely. And what key skills would you say students develop whilst on these courses?
We're very fortunate with the University of Derby program because we combine creative writing and publishing. So the skills that students obtain skills in terms of how to prepare and write copy in that very creative way, from conception of ideas to the published product. We also have the publishing side where students who have aspirations to be authors become knowledgeable of actually the context in which the copy is being produced. Okay. And the stakeholders within the industry who collaborate and work with authors to make their brilliance shine through, actually. In terms of the publishing side, the practical skills that students acquire. So as I said, the students not only understand what what occurs through the authorial process, but how it's produced, but also working with the industry itself, copy editing text. How should text be designed and produced? How should it be marketed and sold? And we also have treat myriad types of content, not just literary fiction, but also children's non-fiction, magazines, and other non-trade type text. So there's a very varied course that students can sink their teeth into.
I was going to say there's aspects that people very seldom think about when even thinking about
exactly right, because it's not just the copy and authors working with publishers, it's the whole industry that we focus on. And we have this very whole industry perspective when it comes to creative writing and publishing.
Yes.
And as I said, all of the academics who work and teach our students are inspired, they're passionate, but they're also experienced at the work.
And what key skills do students develop here that are specific to this degree?
The degree is amazing in that it combines both creative writing and publishing. So for those students who are interested in authorial work, they learn the conceptual and practical skills to be able to both develop their ideas, to articulate their ideas on paper, and then to understand the publishing process involved in getting their work published. In terms of those who are interested in, and then of course, within the publishing context, the aspiring authors understand how all of this authorial work happens in the publishing context. For those who are interested in publishing, there is again a whole industry type perspective when it comes to our tuition. They start from the commissioning of work by publishers, and it goes through the production process in terms of how do publishers commission work? How then do editors work with copy and work with authors to allow authors' brilliance to shine and have their message shine through? It's how the work is copy edited on the page, not just punctuation and grammar and spelling, but also how text and image work together. We're thinking about, well, then how does that text get designed and typeset? How does that text then get marketed and sold and distributed? So again, at this whole perspective that we're teaching our students to learn, to understand, but also be inspired by.
Nice, fantastic. And so you kind of touched on it briefly, but the workings of publishing houses is a bit of a factor here. So what links do we have in place that students will kind of get to interact with?
We are very privileged because of our industry experience. We have connections with industry, so our students benefit from numerous guest speakers who contribute their expertise and their insight in class. We have very practice-based activities that link closely with industry in terms of interviewing stakeholders, interviewing authors, working and doing collaborative work with people in industry, or else with other students at University of Derby who aspire to work in industry as well.
Excellent. And would you say we have ways for students to gain real-world experience?
Absolutely. Everything that we do in the classroom is practice-based. Certainly it has the theoretical underpinning about why do we do this work, not just how and when. But everything, as I said, is practice-based in terms of if you're interested in marketing, then you will learn how to actually develop a marketing plan and then put that into practice. If you're interested in design, then we have our classes are in the media labs where they work with InDesign programs to not only thinking about the designing content, but also typesetting it. Yeah.
Lovely. So obviously there's going to be quite a few people that are thinking about this. So what would you say to those thinking about studying creative writing and publishing at the University of Derby?
Come to Derby.
Yeah.
You'll love it. Everyone is inspired. The students absorb everything. When they enter a classroom, they have smiles on their faces. And when they leave that classroom, most of the smiles are still in place.
Lovely. That's what we want to hear.
Yeah.
Justin, those are all the questions I have for you. So thank you so much for your time. That was fantastic.
Thank you so much. It was a pleasure.
Let's head into a video and we'll be back with you soon. welcome back. We're now joined by Dr. Nicola Lynch, the head of Derby Business School. Nicola, hello. How are you today?
Very good, thank you.
Good. So just to start off with, can you summarise what business courses are available at the university?
Yes, absolutely. We have a wide array of business programmes across the entire school. So they range from marketing management to PR and advertising. We have a general business management programme. We have international business management, accounting and finance. And of course, we have our events, hospitality and tourism management programmes. I think if I can just raise within those business management programmes, you can actually specialise. So some students may be out there and thinking, yeah, I want to do a subject in business, but unsure what realm or, kind of core business subject they would like to study. So if you take a programme like our international business management programme or our business management, students actually after their first year of study can choose what option they'd like to take in their second year. So they may, for example, wish to go in and specialise around business management and marketing, business management and finance, human resource management, supply chain logistics and so on. So there's lots of option for students when they do come to Derby. If they're unsure, they can take a particular programme and then choose a pathway after their first year of study.
Nice, fantastic. And are the business courses accredited?
They are, yeah. We have a number of accreditations across the business school. So, for example, our accounting and finance and business accounting and finance programmes, as you would expect, are strongly aligned with the accounting professional bodies. Sure. So they have maximum exemptions that you can get for an undergraduate programme from ACCA, CIMA, ICAEW, CPA Australia, etc. For students who are on our business management programme, they have the Chartered Management Institute accreditation. For marketing, they have the CIM, Chartered Institute of Marketing. And for the BSc Economics and Finance, we have the CISI, Chartered Institute of Securities and Investments. So that felt like a test for me with all those.
Yeah, that's a lot of acronyms. Yeah. That was impressive.
And that's very important for the business school, for the programmes. But as a business school ourselves, we also have accreditation such as the Chartered Association of Business Schools, which recognises the work that we do with organisations in and around the region, both locally, regionally and nationally, actually.
Fantastic. Okay. And can students gain any additional professional qualifications?
So students, when they're with us, they of course have the opportunity to work with our Careers and Employment Service to gain accreditation, to join any various different courses that they have there. That'll give them opportunities to go further if they wish in various different areas.
Excellent. And so, of course, we have some really impressive people within the college who've been recognised within the top 2% of researchers globally, which is incredible. So how does having academic staff of that quality benefit the undergraduate experience for our students, would you say?
Yeah, it's very important for us that all of our academics are, have their researching contemporary research issues, and actually those the research that they're completing is embedded within the curriculum. So all of our modules and programmes are actually research-led and research-informed. One of the professors you mentioned is Professor Jose Arturo Reyes, who is our head of Centre for Supply Chain and Improvement. And Jose, you will find, will deliver in a lot of our supply chain and logistics modules, and colleagues who work very closely with him will obviously work there too. And more recently, what you'll also find happening, and actually I think it was last week, we've had researchers that they're working with internationally come into the university and actually talk to our students as well. So students are getting, their number of ways that they're benefiting from the research that our colleagues are actually doing.
Excellent. Fantastic. Thank you. And our Derby Business School students are going to get like an incredibly massive boost to their learning experience in 2025 when our newest addition to the city campus opens. So what can you kind of tell us about that?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we're very excited. We have a new business school which will be opening in spring 2025. The key ethos and premise behind that business school is that we are a business school where we educate and deliver business programs, but also we interact really closely with businesses. And that's very important for us as well in terms of the opportunities that our students get, that they are interacting very regularly with organisations. So our front door is open to students and to businesses alike for them to collaborate quite strongly for all of our students throughout their studies. And for me, from our students when they join in year one right through to when they graduate, the modules that they'll take will be informed by industry experts. They'll do live briefs working with industry experts, and these new state-of-the-art facility will enhance all of the opportunities that our students have. We've fantastic facilities at the moment within the university, but of course this significant investment will enhance our facilities even further. We have plans for a virtual reality lab, creativity suite for our marketing students, a logistics lab. We also have a finance lab. And that's where we have, at the moment, we have our Bloomberg software and Refinitiv Icon software, which is state-of-the-art. State-of-the-art, and they're basically industry standard softwares for all of our finance, economics, and accounting students. So really, the complete ethos remains forward. Our students developing those employability skills all the way throughout their studies.
My goodness, okay, that's quite impressive. And putting students into environments kind of alongside businesses is, of course, like a really practical way for students to learn the principles of the subject. So there are also opportunities for students to get some like really hands-on experience on placements, would you say?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, what we try and do is embed as much as we possibly can within the curriculum. Mm-hmm. So students are learning, interacting with organisations all the way throughout their studies. But really we strongly encourage students to take that placement year, which is that opportunity to go out and gain work experience in between their second and third year of study. Within the business school, we have a dedicated employability lead, my colleague Sheena Bevitt, who does an absolutely fantastic job and works very closely with our Careers and Employment Service. So the students will have support in terms of developing their CV, how to apply for a job, what you do when you get to an interview. So there's, that support is really embedded throughout all of that. Yes. We do recognise, of course, that not every student wants to do a placement. They don't want to take that year between second and third year. So there are other opportunities that we really encourage students to gain, things like internships, short voluntary work experience, because it's very important that while we'll embed a huge amount within the curriculum, then actually we give the students those opportunities outside of the curriculum as well and encourage and support them to take those opportunities, because they're great additions and great ways for them to develop their employability skills for when they actually go into the world of work when they graduate.
Excellent, fantastic. Well, Nicola, those are all the questions I have for you.
Great.
So that's fantastic. Thank you so much for your time. Okay. And it's exciting times ahead for the Derby Business School.
It's very exciting. We can't wait to welcome all of our new students, and some very exciting opportunities going forward.
That's fantastic. Well, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you. Great. We'll be right back after this.
Today, I'm finding out about the different types of support we provide to our students to help them succeed during their time at university, both personally and academically. So hi Sarah, you're Head of Student Services at the University of Derby. What does that involve?
Hi Alice. So Student Services at the University of Derby has several teams which are dedicated to supporting our students through the entire student journey. So in our teams we've got the counselling team, we've got mental health support, we've got disability, and we've got a team dedicated to providing advice and guidance around money. We're also really fortunate here at Derby that we've got an on-site GP, part medical practice, and we've also got a dedicated multi-faith centre which offers a range of pastoral and spiritual support.
And how do students get started with accessing all this support?
So there's multiple ways that students can access support at Derby. You can phone us, you can email us, or you can access a range of support and advice and guidance via our web pages. We've got a range of self-help supports on the web pages, including the fantastic Talk Campus app, which delivers peer-on-peer support for our students. The support that we put in place will be bespoke, tailored to the student needs, and it can flex and bend according to their needs throughout the journey of their studies.
Sending your son or daughter off to university can be a really exciting but potentially overwhelming time. What advice do you have to offer them?
Absolutely, Alice, and we recognise that. The key advice that we would provide is to encourage their son, daughter, or the learner to get in touch with Student Services as soon as possible. That can even be before they come to campus and start their studies.
And how does the support that the university offers its students differ from that they might have received at school?
The key difference is that it's student-led. The university won't implement the support automatically. We wait for the learner to come to us when they feel ready to receive that support or when they disclose.
So what happens where students might need a different type of support? Perhaps it's academic help that they need?
So the support that we provide at university involves a range of other internal and external departments and organisations. One of the key teams that we work with is the College Student Centres, who will provide a range of academic support and advice and guidance.
Hi Nat, I've just been finding out about the support provided by our Student Services team. How does that differ from what you do in the College Student Centres?
So the College Student Centres are a dedicated place for information, advice, guidance and support around any academic or student queries that you may have. We've got a dedicated team of personal college advisors who will be there to answer any query that you've got, or alternatively signpost you to one of our specialist services such as Student Wellbeing or the wider Student Services team. Ultimately, the College Student Centre is that first point of contact. And what I would say to you is if you don't know who to speak to or where to go, come to your College Student Centre and they'll be able to point you in the right direction or answer that query for you.
And what sorts of things can you offer that advice on?
First of all, we'll start off with enrolment, so help you through your registration and get you enrolled on your course. We can answer those queries that you may have about your student loan and also help you get your uni card that gets you into the university. We can also help you with your academic programme advice as well, so whether that's queries around the regulations or your overall degree classification. We can support you with student support letters, so that means if you need to open a bank account or alternatively prove your council tax status as well. We can help you if you're struggling with assignments and support you with a request for additional consideration if you're not able to meet your deadlines. And also we can support you with your attendance and engagement as well.
How do you help our students to stay on track with their studies?
So the way in which we support our students to stay on track with their studies is through our student engagement monitoring. So what we do is we monitor student attendance to ensure that they can get the best possible academic outcomes. We know that good attendance means that you're less likely to withdraw or fail on your course and get that best degree outcome.
So where students might be struggling with their studies, how can you help with that?
So there's lots of people that they can talk to at the university. First of all, they've got the support from their academic team. So you've got your module leader, and the module leader can talk to them about the module content and also their deadlines. You've then got your programme leader who can talk about the wider course content and any support that they need in relation to that. They've got their personal academic tutor who can help them with academic advancement and give them some coaching to get the best possible degree outcomes. And then finally, as you've mentioned with Sarah, we've got student services in our wellbeing team who can help with support plans and any mental health inquiries.
Thanks Nat. So lots of support available for our students to make sure they can succeed. Coming to university is exciting, but it can also feel overwhelming at times. To help, we offer a range of services to support you both during your application and when you start studying with us. Whether you have questions about your course, concerns about your wellbeing, or just need some advice or reassurance, our friendly expert teams are here to help.
I'm now joined by Dr. Jo Bishton, who is Head of Equity, Inclusion and Wellbeing here at the University of Derby. Hello, Jo.
Hello.
How are you today? You okay?
Very well, thank you.
Excellent. So just to start off with, welfare and inclusion are obviously really important aspects of life for anyone. So what can you tell me about how Derby helps students develop and grow during their time with us?
Okay, so belonging is really important for us at the university. We want our students to come and thrive and learn with us regardless of how they identify, what their gender expression is, or whatever their background is. So that's really important for us. And we do that in a number of ways. So the university participates in sector-specific charter marks so that we can audit ourselves to make sure that we're doing the right things and that we're always progressing and challenging ourselves to do the right things. And some of those a bit more widely. So some of those are more sort of employer recognition type schemes. So for instance, we're at university is Athena Swan Bronze. So that's a charter mark where we look at progression around gender, and we have the Race Equality Charter where we're members and we're just in the process of putting that submission in. We're also top 100 and a gold member of Stonewall, and that's around the LGBT plus communities. We're disability confident, and we're also the Armed Forces Covenant Gold as well. And so what that does, that demonstrates, so whilst these are charter marks where we look at what happens within our staff and student life cycles, they're a good demonstration externally that we take these areas of work very seriously, and that we are engaged in challenging ourselves to improve. But they're also, solid recognition of the work that we do as well by external bodies in that area.
Absolutely. Fantastic. And what do we do for students in order to make their experience of being on campus easier, would you say?
So we have accessible areas for students. So we have the Sunflower Scheme, for instance, which is a national sunflower scheme for people with hidden disabilities. So dignity and respect is very important to us. And we don't expect people to continually having to keep disclosing something about themselves that's hidden. So, which is really important for disability, for instance. So if you're using, a lift and students are getting a little bit, I don't think you've got a disability for using a lift, or it's taking you longer to do an activity and people can get frustrated. Well, actually having a sunflower on there is an external sort of symbol and sign to people to say, actually, I've got a hidden disability and that's why, but I don't need to disclose that to you. Our disclosure rates of students and staff is really high in terms of the hidden elements of people, and what that tells us is that people feel psychologically safe in order to be able to disclose something about themselves that isn't obvious. And what we do, we take that information and then we ensure that we're putting investment in the right place for training and activity, but also for our estate. So where we know that we've got increasing numbers of students, for instance, that are transgender, then we have gender neutral facilities across all campus sites. And also the investment that we then put into our staff development means that we're training our staff to also become socially and culturally aware about difference, because we openly celebrate difference at the university.
Absolutely, that's fantastic. I think it speaks to the staff, if I'm honest, that the disclosure rate is so high, because it's not easy to, kind of disclose so many of these problems that many of us have. So
yeah, absolutely. And we know, because we do our annual report, we check our data, that we know where our disclosures are increasing, and that tells me that people are feeling psychologically safe to be able to do that, which is important.
Which is key, absolutely. That's fantastic. So you've kind of touched on it briefly, but what would you say we do to kind of acknowledge our diverse student population, covering from a range of different faiths and backgrounds? How would you say we make them feel welcome?
So the university is in a really unique position because we have the Multi-Faith Centre, which is on the footprint of our university's main campus at Kedleston Road. And so that's, we were the first university that had that relationship to have a multi-faith centre. Mm-hmm. And we work really closely. So the Multi-Faith Centre is where our chaplaincy is housed. And so the chaplains also have faith consultants, and the trustees are people from all sorts of different faith and belief backgrounds. So our relationship with the Multi-Faith Centre is both positive because it enables our students to have a place to go where they can access facilities, prayer facilities, quiet spaces, fair trade, but it's also the way that the university can connect to the community as well through the Multi-Faith Centre and for different faiths. As a staff network, we have a faith and belief network, and we do have a faith and belief month every May, which is something that we brought into the university ourselves. It's not a nationally recognised one, but it demonstrates that faith and belief is important to us, and students can attend the faith and belief network as well. And obviously we do lots of stuff that's faith and belief related that students participate in.
Well, Jo, those are all the questions I have, so thank you so much for your time today.
Thank you very much.
Fantastic. Now we're going to take a look at what some of our international students say about studying at Derby.
Hi, my name is Shan.
I'm Lawrence Ndupu.
Salam, मेरा नाम मोहम्मद अली है.
Bună, numele meu este Cristina. Ni hao, 我是李乐.
Servus, mein Name ist Matthias.
Bună, numele meu este Ioana.
Hi, my name is Karen.
Cześć, mam na imię Natalia.
came here, I didn't know anyone, no friends, didn't know what to expect.
Like the first day I was here, I sat down in the classroom and I was like, what did I get myself into? I don't understand nothing this man is saying. The accents, they all sound like Harry Potter.
I was worrying about being by myself.
I was just worried about living. I mean, you know, just like the cost of living.
And how people will welcome me, how they will react.
But here in Derby, people are so friendly. They made us feel settled in very, very fast.
After 3 years of living here, I feel like Derby is kind of like my second home. It feels like they are just from my country or I'm from here.
It's a very, very friendly and very personal atmosphere. It's like a big family.
I would recommend the University of Derby because it's so easy to connect with people and it's so easy to get the support, to get the opportunities, and all you have to do is just want.
When you live in your home, you live in your parents, you really can learn how to face the world, and you really to learn how to becoming more independent, becoming more strong.
There's a team of professionals here who will welcome you. They will make you feel like you're in second home. So don't worry, just pack your bags and make a decision and you will enjoy it.
Welcome back. We've been watching out for your questions this morning and now we're going to be answering them for you. We've just got time to run through a few of the questions we've received so far and we'll reply to everybody else later today. So first of all, are the campuses within easy walking distance of each other? They are, absolutely. And we also have a bus which connects all of our Derby sites and halls of residence. Second question, when is the new business school due to open? Progress is going really well on that. It's looking amazing and we're on track to open in 2025. Next one, is the library open at weekends? Absolutely. Our Kedleston Road and Britannia Mill libraries are open at weekends. For international applicants, which English language tests do we accept? The information on the tests we accept are listed on the international section of our website, so go to derby.ac.uk to find out more. For international students, when do you pay the remaining fees after the deposit? Our payment dates are for September enrolment, that's £3,000 in advance of enrolment, 50% of your fees minus that £3,000 by the 1st of November, and then the final 50% instalment by the 1st of January. For those enrolling in January, we need £3,000 in advance of enrolment, 50% of your fees minus that £3,000 by the 1st of March, and then the final 50% instalment by the 1st of May. What's the one thing I should make sure I see if I visit? Great question. If you can come to campus, make sure that you attend a welcome talk, a subject talk, and visit our halls. Also make sure you ask loads of questions and just really soak up the atmosphere on campus to get a feel for what life at Derby is really like. And that's it. A huge thank you to all the students and staff who've been part of our event today, and to you all for joining us for our Open Day live stream. Today's Open Day is continuing for several more hours on campus, so if you're on your way to us still, we'll see you soon. If you've liked what you've seen and want to come and visit, you can book your place now for our next event in the new year. It's on Saturday, the 20th of January, and you can book your place on our website. But if you're joining us from overseas or can't make it in person, our virtual tour is available whenever you need it, with more to see about our courses, city, and accommodation on our website. And from all of us here, it's goodbye for now.
Hi, I love working at Derby because I like being part of the College Student Centre teams. It's great to be able to support our students all the way through from enrolment to graduation. We get a lot of students in the College Student Centres that may be struggling, and it's fantastic when we've been able to help and support them to achieve their degree and see them walk across the stage during graduation.
As someone who works with international students from all around the world, I love the University of Derby because it presents an opportunity for students from over 50 countries to come and study with us. It's such a melting pot of different nationalities.
What I love about the University of Derby is our relationship with our partner organisations, allowing excellent placement opportunities. It means our students can be the innovators and future leaders in our communities.
I love coming to work at the University of Derby to be part of a team of staff that are dedicated and committed to make sure our students can flourish and grow while they learn here. It's great to support our students be their best selves and be part of their onward learning journey.
I love how the university prioritises its students and tailors the resources towards our needs. I love how my lecturers and tutors are so supportive and help me achieve my potential as a student.
I love the University of Derby because it gives so many opportunities for everybody to develop their skills. Working in the library skills team, I get to see that every day and it's brilliant.
What I love about the University of Derby is the community feel. I work at the Halls of Residence and it's such a great place for the students to come and stay and meet other people. And I think it really represents the university as a whole, which is a real lovely family environment.
What I love about working at the University of Derby is I get to engage with students from enrolment straight through, see their progression to the end of their studies, and then it all ends with graduation and how we can celebrate with them on their special day.
Some of the main reasons why I love working at the University of Derby, as it's a fantastic place to work. It gives amazing opportunities for students and staff.
I love Derby because we offer amazing opportunities to students, from work experience to part-time jobs to graduate careers.
I love the University of Derby due to the positive impact it has on the student experience and their academic journeys. Here at the Union of Students, we have the pleasure of working with the university to deliver a variety of different activities, whether that be supporting the student voice, delivering events and activities such as freshers, or providing clubs and societies for those students looking to socialise. It's a pleasure to work with the university on all the things we do.
I love working at the University of Derby Library because I remember what it was like to be a student. I remember the array of emotions from pure joy to pure panic. And I remember the consistency of the library being there for me. So I really love the fact that I now get to do that for students.
There are many different reasons as to why I love the University of Derby. But the main one for me is the different opportunities that you can seize. So being an alumni of the university and an ex-student, I got involved with becoming a student ambassador, a content creator, and an academic representative. I now look forward to making a positive impact in the graduate scheme as an associate in marketing.
What I love about the University of Derby is the support for diversity and communal living. As an international student, I believe one of our dreams when migrating to a new country is to settle in smoothly and seamlessly and get comfortable as fast as we can. The University of Derby is a great place to be because it supports diversity and communal living, which in the long run not only helps with personal development, but also professional growth, as this is what I am experiencing.
The thing I love most about the University of Derby is teaching. When teaching, I can be myself, and by creating a fun and exciting environment for students, I allow them to become the best versions of themselves.
What I love about Derby is that the university has a really strong commitment to ensuring that our students are ready for the workplace and to make sure that when they leave university, they're ready to go straight into graduate level employment.
What I love about Derby is that it's a community that's big enough to contain a rich diversity of people from a whole range of traditions and backgrounds and perspectives, enabling all sorts of stimulating ideas and initiatives to emerge. But it's a community that's small enough so that you feel you can find a place within it and a real sense of belonging. That's what I love about Derby.
I love Derby. As a staff member and as a student, I had the opportunity to explore my passion, and that's why Derby's brilliant.